Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Discussion Podcast alongside my co-hosts Joe Stumpo and Ben Angiano. I love saying that last name. It just rolls off the tongue. It sounds so sexy. I love it. Um, but listen, we have a very packed-filled show today. A lot has gone on within the last 12 hours, and a lot more has gone on roughly in the last 36 to 48 hours, which has been crazy. Before we dive into everything that's happened, I just want to say this, and this is going to be more towards the end of the show. We're going to kind of just have a little fun and just kind of turn the baseball stuff off for a little bit and just, talk about kind of what's been going on. But we recently just hit our 1 year anniversary of the Diamond Discussion podcast. So
Absolutely.
we're going to break all that down. We're going to talk about some stuff and just basically what a difference a year makes and where we are now from where we started. Obviously, we're going to share some behind the scenes stuff that has gone on between me and Joe and Ben now. I mean, it's been a wild ride so far, and we're loving every minute of it. Fellas, I couldn't be happy to be here with you guys and doing this show. But if I can, to open this up, breaking news as a few minutes before we press the record button. Uh, Ben's Brewers and my Mets have made a trade. Freddy Peralta is now a New York Met. In exchange, the Mets are giving up Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams. Overall, this is, I think, insane for both sides. I love this trade. I do. My first reaction is, listen, I understand the Mets gave up a lot. They gave up Jet Williams and Sproat, two guys that I was very high on. But you know what? When you're going to get an arm like that, or a gamer like that, or some top tier talent like that, you have to give something up. Ben, I want to shoot it over to you. You have shared your love for Freddie on this show a countless amount of times. You've talked about him plenty all over TikTok, all over your accounts. So, bro, what is your initial reaction to this trade?
Yeah, obviously it's the heartbreaking aspect is the fan side out of me, like losing a player like this, what he meant to the clubhouse, the Brewers organization. I mean, that's the part that hurts, and that's the part that's going to hurt for the next 24 to 48 hours, even maybe even a week, because like I said, this guy is actually my profile picture on TikTok, Brew Crew SW. It's a picture of me and this guy. I have his jersey right here signed on my wall for all the YouTube visual watchers right there. If you're on Spotify, just take a moment to come to YouTube so you guys can see it's right here. So obviously it's a bitter-sweet feeling because I knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. And about an hour ago, we heard that the talks were deep. And John Heyman said, "Look, this could happen any minute." And guess what? It happened in 30 minutes after that post. Basically, Freddy Peralta got dealt for Brandon Spro and Jet Williams. Tobias Myers, also a good relief pitcher at this point, is going to the Mets as well. So that's an underrated pickup by the Mets right there. But look, I'm obviously a little bit sad. When it comes to the business aspect of it, though, I think it was a fair trade. And no matter which way you look at it, I think both teams come out happy with this trade, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? And good job for both sides. I think that the Brewers addressed a situation where they needed a shortstop. I don't think Joey Ortiz was something in the Brewers' future plans. So I think Jet Williams obviously fits their shortstop need. And obviously for the Mets, they needed a solid number one slash two type starter. Obviously Senga's health is usually a question. Anaya's health is a question. And you needed some help in the front end of your rotation, and this is a guy that obviously is going to help that front end of the rotation. If Senga is healthy, between him, McLean, and Peralta, that could be a really powerful, big three. If you want to call it a big three, then you have guys that could round out their rotation like Clay Holmes and David Peterson. That's a pretty decent back end of the rotation there. And it's basically about health. If Senga's healthy, this rotation is going to go really far because I think everybody else should be fine. And if McLean can pitch the way he did last year, it's going to be pretty scary in the NL East. I think this Met lineup has definitely it's gotten better. I think it's definitely a way more deeper lineup than maybe in years past, especially last year. They were so top heavy, and then after your cleanup hitter, it was kind of tough to produce runs. So I think they just they look a little bit more leaner, if you will. They shed some fat off that lineup, and now it just looks like a well-rounded lineup. So the Mets addressed a lot in the last month. So it's good to see that, their fans were crashing out a little bit, Ro. I know we was going through it a little bit like, oh man, this team, they're making moves, but they still have a lot to do. But listen, this kind of caps off a pretty decent offseason for the New York Mets.
Yeah, it's funny because when everything started happening, I guess the negative, all the departures from this team, Pete Alonso's, the Brandon Nimmo's, I don't have to do this over and over again. We know who left, but I mean, reality, the perception from the Mets fan base, it did not go over well. And I had a couple of thoughts initially, seeing this. Like, yeah, ripping those band-aids off sucked. I was a huge Brandon Nimmo fan. Same with Pete Alonso. Edwin Diaz, I think, was a little different compared to the other situations. But overall, I wanted to do a solo video and kind of just address the Mets and the Mets fan base with everything that was happening. And reality was, unfortunately, as much as we do fall in love with these players, you have to really look at yourself in the mirror and say, this isn't working. It's not working. So when do we rip that band-aid off? After we sign these guys to lucrative contracts and then maybe have to eat money like a Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander deal that did not work? When does that happen? So they decided to go in a different direction. And David Stearns made that pretty clear after the season was over that there was going to be a lot of shakeup. And he wasn't kidding. He really wasn't. This team looks totally different. I think for the better, honestly. I mean, time will tell. On paper, I think everything that they've done so far looks good. Listen, they've just signed Bo Bichette. That came out of nowhere. I think that was out of response to the Kyle Tucker thing. Someone had said this on, it might have been MLB Network, it might have been another podcast. I can't remember where it came from, so just forgive me for that. But somebody said that they feel that the Kyle Tucker move just lit the fire under Steve Cohen, like it sort of did with the Yankees last year when Juan Soto went to the Mets. After that, the Yankees made a slew of moves. They went out and got Bellinger. They signed Max Fried like a week later or whatever it was, and they just kept making move after move. And that is exactly what happened here in New York with the Mets now, an offseason later. They lost out on Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, and Cohen went crazy, and Stearns went crazy as well. They've acquired 4 players in the last 48 hours, roughly. But overall, top to bottom, I think this team is better than it was last year. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I was one of the people even just defending the Mets. I know on the internet when the Mets lost Pete, they lost Diaz, he traded Nimmo for Simeon. There was a lot of Mets fans that were saying, what's going on with this team? What is Stearns' game plan right here? Obviously, Stearns, previous GM of the Brewers. I said, look, I have faith in this guy to maybe, especially like you said, once that Tucker move happened, I knew this guy was going to straight up cook. I didn't expect the Bo Bichette trade. Neither did I expect the Luis Robert trade last night. But guess what? That trade made a lot of sense knowing Bellinger's market. So I think that's a great, low risk, potentially could be a high reward right there if the guy gets back on track. And the Freddy Peralta trade, I mean, it's excellent. Adding him in that rotation with McLean, Singa, pretty sure, what's his name? Jonah Tonga is going to get his opportunity again at the big leagues. So yeah, Peterson as well currently still probably going to be the 4th or 5th guy in that rotation. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And obviously bringing in Devin Williams to the bullpen, Luke Weaver as well. I think they've had a very underrated offseason. And I think for all the crap that they were getting, they've really made ends meet to finish it off with this Freddy Peralta trade.
Yeah, and I also think that this is the one guy that the Mets are going to work hard to retain. I think at the end of this year, with the lockout looming, I think if the Mets said, if you sat down with their brass and they said, which one of these guys would you rather keep? Would it be Robert, Bichette or Peralta? I think they would go Peralta. I think just having the arms is a lot more sensible right now for the Mets, and I think they'd be able to get by with losing guys like Bichette and Robert in the future if that was to happen. I think that they're set up pretty nicely without those 2 guys, to be honest with you. So having the arms, I think, would be more of the concern, and I think Stearns and Cohen would probably, opt to keep Peralta and throw big money at him to keep him in New York, considering he's a 1-year deal basically for just this year, and then obviously with the lockout, nobody knows what's going to happen. But you would like to keep him in your rotation, considering you may lose some guys next year as well out of that rotation. Who knows what happens? God forbid there's an injury, or maybe guys become free agents or whatnot, and trades and whatnot. So you definitely want the depth in your rotation. So I could see the Mets definitely being the number one suitor for him in the free agency come the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. One thing I will say, for Brewers fans out there that say, "Wow, the Brewers were so cheap, couldn't pay the $8 million." It wasn't about the $8 million. Picking up that option this year. It wasn't about that. It was about when he hits free agency, most likely
Right.
an extension was going to be reached. And I think a lot of Brewers fans need to know that they could have easily picked up the $8 million option and had him on the roster. And guess what? Most likely, if they didn't get what they wanted for a Freddy Peralta trade, they would have been perfectly fine picking up that $8 million option and keeping him on the roster. But guess what? They found exactly what they wanted. And honestly, a thought that came to my head when this trade went down, Jet Williams, Brandon Sproat, their future, the Brewers are a top 3 farm system right now in baseball. I think they see their future. Obviously, a lot of those Dodger stars as well are getting kind of old if you look at the timeline as well. I think they see their future in the next 3 to 4 years really competing for a World Series in the long run. So it's a very good business move right here. And I think it's going to help the Brewers in the long run. I know a lot of Brewers fans are very upset, but sometimes I know Mike's faced this with the whole Nimmo, Alonso, DS aspect of it. You got to take the business aspect of it first, and then obviously grief as a fan. But I think it's a very good business trade right here for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, I think both sides. This right now looks like a win-win for both sides. I think obviously if the Mets can retain the services of Peralta to a long-term contract, I think obviously that boosts the value of it for them. But overall, I mean, and a selling point if they're going to try to maybe extend him. I mean, there's no real talks of that yet. I haven't heard anything yet. But if there's a selling point to it, Cohen could go or Stearns could go to Peralta, and they have a relationship. And they could flat out say, hey, listen, lockouts next year. I understand you might want to test the market, but here's my selling point. We don't know what's going to happen if the lockout does happen or it doesn't. You might be, who knows how long it's going to be before you're going to be able to be in talks with another team again. So why don't we just get something done now? We'll try to work something out reasonably and see how that works out. I don't know if that's in the Mets' plans. I would hope so. I mean, to acquire a guy like this and not even think about an extension, I think that'd be foolish. I don't think that's the case. Overall,
Yeah,
with the rotation,
especially what you gave up too. I mean, you
yeah,
definitely want to resign him.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, Sproat, I was huge on Brandon Sproat. I loved what I saw from him when he came up. He looked serviceable. He looked very poised. He looked not it seemed like the moment didn't overtake him. He seemed pretty put together. And Jet has been, we've been hearing his name for the last couple of years, and he's just moved up and moved up through the ranks. So I think this was about the time that he was ready to make his move and come up. And realistically, there was no room for him right now, especially with the trade of Robert, and they got Simeon, they got Bichette. The infield is full. It's seemingly the outfield, it seems to be full because they're looking at a potential of having Benj playing out in left. So where was there going to be room to get Jet the at bats that he needed? Even with the Robert trade, Acuna going, even before Bichette was even on the table or signed, and again, that to me that came out of nowhere. They had too many infielders. Somebody had to go. Somebody else had to go. And then once Bichette was signed, to me the fate was sealed. And the other thing is too, not for nothing, they still have retained Mauricio, Beatty, and Vientos. They're still on the roster, so I would not be surprised if this isn't the last thing that the Mets do. And the other thing is too, not for nothing, if you really look at it and think about it, they have roughly like 8 starting pitchers at this moment right now. I mean, we're talking, we got Peralta, you got McLean, you're going to have Senga, then you have Minaya, Holmes, David Peterson. I mean, and then Tong. I don't think Tong is going to make the opening day roster, but you're talking about 6, 7 guys that are going to be potentially in this rotation. Do they go 6-man? Do they move another guy? Do they move another piece? David Peterson could be likely, being that he's on an expiring deal, and maybe the Mets don't look to extend him. I mean, what do they do? I feel like they're still not done. I feel like there's still a couple moves to be made.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what they do if they make those additional moves. I think maybe It'd be interesting to see if they land a bat or another maybe a bullpen piece, just to finish it off and maybe add some depth to the bullpen. So it'd be interesting to see how they move, towards the spring training.
Yeah, I could totally see them going, maybe using one of those young players like Mauricio for another bullpen piece. I think that'd be very reasonable right there.
Or maybe they just save them for the deadline and see what happens then, see what your team needs are at that point, and move on then. Act accordingly. See what is in front of you at that point. Like I said, what your team needs are maybe come trade deadline, and maybe they stand pat. I don't know. I feel like something else is coming. I don't know if it's going to be huge. I think the huge news with the Mets is just about done. But I feel like something else could be on the horizon in the next coming days. If not, overall, I'm pretty happy with the roster at this point. I'll be honest.
I could see them. I could see them moving past on Vientos. I could see them dealing Vientos. Honestly,
you know what? That's what exactly the player I was going to point out, because right now, where does he fit on the roster? I mean, I'm thinking about the roster in the top of my head. Like, where does he currently fit? Like, if you look at, third base, Bichette most likely, second, Simeon, short, Lindor, guess first, or like,
I don't know.
Yeah, but then you're kind of blocking Ryan Clifford if he's a potential call up.
Yep, great point.
And also, you don't know how he's going to be defensively. Vientos, he wasn't great at third. Is he going to be good at first? Is his footwork good at first base? Can he make the throw from first to second on a double play? There's some things you got to think about.
He might be the DH.
He could be the
DH with Polanco. That's the other thing with Polanco. I mean, I assume Polanco would be the DH. I really wouldn't be shocked, and I wouldn't hate the idea of maybe throwing Beatty at first.
Let me get him.
I had mentioned that in the video that I had put up when they traded for when they made the trade the other day.
Robert.
For Robert. I really do think he's a better athlete to the point where I think he'd perform better at first base.
I think so. And there's been talks that they want to make him, as of right now, kind of like the Jeff McNeil replacement. Can play multiple positions. I mean, realistically, not that Jeff was terrible defensively, but Beatty is a better defender. Let's be honest. So, I mean, better defense version of Jeff McNeil. I mean, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. A younger version.
I'm not too thrilled with Polanco at first base.
I'm not either. That's why I would like Beatty at first.
I'm just if Stearns wants to go with the run prevention whole strategy, which I think is a great prevention, it's kind of what the Yankees were doing with trying to get starting pitching and fix their defense. I don't think Polanco is the answer at first. I think that's got to change.
Well, that's via Fangraphs. I think they could flip DH in first if they really want
to. They should do that.
But even then, if that's the case, where does Vientos fit in this lineup right now? Or Mauricio? Where do they even get like everyday playing time? I don't see that happening. So bench, they see him getting called up. Ninth hitter right here in left field. If you guys are watching through YouTube, we have the Mets projected 2026 lineup via Fangraphs on the screen. So no Vientos, no Mauricio. These guys are expendable right now more than ever.
Yeah, and not for nothing, Vientos, though, if you want to keep him, and maybe Roll agree with this, he does have the body to play first base. He's a big guy, be a nice target to throw to. He could maybe he could knock down some balls and be pretty decent defensively over there. And that's another guy. Maybe they would trade Mauricio because it's a right-handed bat that they could keep in the lineup and they could use him as the first baseman. So I guess there's a couple of avenues you could kind of drive down, but I think it's all about how this plays out. Maybe more towards spring training. I think maybe that's where it happens.
Yeah, and that's going to tell all. I think the shocking thing about this I feel like not really many are talking about it. I could see, like I said, I could see Beatty maybe taking over at first, maybe being the guy. His defense was great at third. He looked good at second when he played here and there. Why not make him, like I said, the super utility guy that's just in the lineup? I mean, at that point too, being that young, you're going to want to learn everything possible to make sure that you stay on the field overall. And if that makes them better defensively and offensively at the same time, then I don't see why not. I don't have a problem with it.
And is Benj 100% the left fielder?
I don't think 100% yet. I think it's going to determine spring training. I think that's going to be the big tell. But they're very high on him.
I would say 80%. I think this kid is bound to crack the roster. If not
I agree.
April, early May. I mean, I think this kid is honestly, I think he might break camp. If you ask me right now, this kid is super talented. You can see what they rate him on Pipeline and Baseball America as well. I think it's not 100%, but I would say 80. I would say 80 for sure.
I want to make a quick point before we, if we potentially move on to a different topic. I just because it was in the back of my mind before I forget. I think a huge X factor in the Mets lineup, if you call me crazy, is Francisco Alvarez. I feel like if this kid can stay healthy, it's really a shame. I don't think he's gotten a full year yet to really prove himself. He's had that hand issue with that broken hamate bone, the hamate bone, whatever you want to call it. I think he did he have a surgery the year before on his hand?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. He's had a ton of hand injuries, but if he can stay healthy, I honestly think he could be 25 and 70. Honestly, this kid.
I think the X factor in this lineup is the guy below him batting 8th now, Luis Robert Jr. I think that's going to be the biggest X factor. Obviously, we'll actually we could shift talking about that trade actually that happened last night. Luis Robert Jr. going to the Mets for Luis Angel Acuna and Truman Pauly, I believe, single A pitcher. I think it was JB.
Yes.
Yeah, single A pitcher, right? All right. So, I mean, I think Luis Robert Jr. is going to have an Andrew Vaughn type of situation right here, revitalize his career in Flushing. Because, look, I do believe that the talent is there. It's just obviously the past 2 years have been so disappointing for him because of the injuries. So, look, if there's anywhere he's going to revitalize his career, it's going to be with the Mets. Is it going to happen? I would bet so. I think so. I really do believe this kid is going to find himself in a perfect setting in this Mets lineup now that he has a form of protection as well.
Yeah, I was against going after him if it was going to cost a ton because I really was.
You always said it. You're like,
I didn't want to.
No.
I really was. I didn't want to because like some of the asking prices we heard around the deadline.
But it was funny because it was like any package. It was like, bro, what about this guy for
nope.
Nope,
because the packages were insanity. They were pure insanity.
It's due to his talent though, like the upside that he has. That's why it's some of those early packages. But it was just funny how like you would react to some of those packages.
Because it was some of the packages were so absurd. It was like Vientos and Beatty, Vientos and Acuna. No, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I'm sorry, I'm not. Do I think that he could turn himself around? I don't know if he's going to be the 38 home run guy that he was, but he's going to bring you elite defense in center field, which granted they have that with Tyrone Taylor, but even with Robert's down years, I'm going to take him at the plate over Tyrone Taylor. And I love to watch Tyrone play center field. He's amazing, magnificent. I'm sorry, he is. He's an amazing defender. And for those of you out there, us New Yorkers that don't really get a chance to watch Luis Robert play,
he's special, bro. Defensively.
It's his center field play is amazing. It really is. It's right up there. And his bat, if that does come alive and he's hitting in the 8th hole, protecting Alvarez, I think that could be a 1-2 punch that X factors each other. That kind of they feed off each other. I really like the way the bottom of this lineup is put together. If these guys can maybe break out, I mean, we were waiting for that breakout from Alvarez. It seemed like going into spring training last year when we were talking about this on the pod a year ago, seeing what he was doing, the adjustments that he was making at the plate were, it looked like he was, going to be all right. And he was, he looked a lot different. He wasn't flailing and swinging like crazy and swinging out of his shoes. It looked like he calmed himself down. And then he got hurt. And it seemed like he fell into that trap again and then brought himself back down to earth. And it looked like he was maybe finding himself. So that could be huge. But overall, the trade that they did, just to get back on that, and my I guess my talk on this topic, but they didn't give up a ton to get him, and similar to what I said earlier about Jet Williams, I could say the same about Acuna. Where is he going to play? This kid needs playing time.
He does,
and what are you going to do? Let him rot in the minor leagues? Or you're going to go out and fulfill a need of your own and have to give up a piece. Overall, I love Luis Angel Acuna. I love what he brought to the table. He's a spark plug. He could play anywhere defensively. He was another one at times, looked like he could swing out of his shoes. But when he came up in 2024 and took over for Lindor, that was amazing. He played great for that down the stretch at the end, but if he could find himself, I think he's going to be fine. But we had no room for him on the roster, so this move made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely did.
Kid's going to be fine in Chicago. I think he's finally going to get that everyday playing time. He deserves to be quite frank because he is a talented player. And I think now that he's going to shine on obviously a smaller market, a team that doesn't really have high expectations this year, I think it's a win-win for both sides. Well, potentially a win-win for both sides. Just depending if Robert could stay healthy. I mean, we're talking about the same guy that got injured during a home run derby. I mean, how is that possible, right? But so look, I'm okay with this trade for the Mets. Like I said, I've seen this guy in person a few times, quite a few times. They call him La Pantera for a reason. I mean, this guy is sneaky in the outfield. He could rob a home run. He could do it just so nonchalantly, man. I bet he smells good too. I bet he wears like good cologne.
Oh my!
I'm just being honest. I think he smells good. I had his jersey, by the way, the Southside jersey. I had his Southside jersey. Such a cool jersey. Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty much it.
No, yeah, so that threw me off. I forgot what I was going to say, but no. So I think there's only one of two things that's gonna go down. Either he's gonna play really well and stay healthy, or he stays healthy and he just gets swallowed up by New York because he's not playing well and now his every move is analyzed. I can see that happening with Luis Robert, or he just can't stay healthy for some reason. Obviously, knock on wood. I don't want to see that happen. But I do see one of those two things happening. Either he flourishes and he does really well, or he gets swallowed up by the New York media the minute he has a bad 10-game stretch. His every move is analyzed, how he moves to the left, how he moves to the right, front, center, and he maybe not be able to handle that. So I could see maybe him struggling due to the fact that there's pressure now. Every game matters. You're playing in a big city. You're playing for an owner that's got big pockets, that's bleeding money, literally, to try to get this team to win. So, if he does struggle, I could see him maybe taking those struggles a little too personally and maybe it affecting him down the stretch. But if he does good, it's going to be a really, really, a really nice thing to see because, like Rose said, they didn't give up that much, and hopefully he's got enough protection in this lineup to where he could just be himself and let loose.
Yeah, that would be that's obviously the ideal situation. So we'll see how that unfolds. I have a bit of fun little breaking news just now. So I texted my dad to let him know that the Mets got Freddy Peralta, and he knows me. He knew my feelings on that. He responded back. I didn't see it go off, but I see. We gave up Sproat and Jet to get him. I like the move. His response was maybe the Mets will go and get Brew Crew as well, referring to Ben. So obviously Dad approves of you, Ben. He wants you to join the dark side and come over here. So. I don't know if there's a deal on the table to get you over here or not, but maybe that's something we could discuss in the future.
Wow.
I'd be willing to negotiate.
Fortunately, deals off the table. Sorry, I mean, look,
that's fair.
Love Pop's loyalties with the crew always.
That's fair. I respect it.
But look, I think Freddy. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he succeeds. I hope he finally gets his respect in a big market team, especially because I know this guy's a Cy Young level pitcher, finished top 4, I believe it was in the Cy Young this past year. I know he's going to succeed now more than ever. I mean, he got a few of his old teammates there, Tyrone Taylor, Devin Williams, obviously the Stearns factor as well. It's not going to unknown territory, if we could be quite honest. He has some players he knows there. So I wish him nothing but the best. Tobias Myers as well. I mean, don't overshadow that. This is a pitcher where he came out of nowhere for the Brewers and it was just in the Brewers lab, and he had a 3.36 ERA, I believe it was last year, coming out the bullpen. He was a little bit injured, but I think that's going to be an excellent relief pitcher for the Mets, maybe a 6th inning, 7th inning guy. I like that move as well. Kind of low key.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I'm going to shoot this over to everybody else now, guys on Spotify and Apple that have been listening to this podcast for the last year. One, we appreciate you guys for helping us get to where we are, keeping us motivated and doing what we're doing, because there's a lot that goes behind this that we're going to unveil a little bit. I know I've dipped and dabbled a little bit and, tease you guys on some of the stuff that goes on that we try to do to get this up and running. But, you guys are the motivation that keeps us going. We really do appreciate you guys. Every like, every comment, every view, every share, we see all of it because you know what? Let's be honest here. We're not big time. Maybe not yet. But we're going to need your help to do it. And what's going to help do that is you guys light up our comment section, our YouTube channel, guys. You guys as well. We've had 2 moves here done by the Mets and our Brewers. Listen, I'm sorry, Ben's a part of the show now, and the Brewers are a part of this family now too. So I want to hear from all of you guys what you guys think of the trades, the Luis Robert trade, the Freddy Peralta trade, the Bo Bichette signing by the Mets, everything that we've touched on tonight so far. And before we, end or go anywhere, the other team in New York, Jays guys, they have finally decided to spend some money. They have re-signed Cody Bellinger, 5 years, 162.5. From what I understand, there are 2 opt-outs in this deal and a full no trade clause for Mr. Bellinger. Jay, I'm going to shoot this to you. You got to be happy that they brought this guy back, no?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm just happy it's over. I mean, this was just like, this was worse than Juan Soto. I mean, this was like, you thought Mickey Mantle was a free agent with the way like things were just going on. I mean, the negotiation, you would have thought he was a 9-time All-Star, maybe a 6-time MVP, a 4-time champion. I didn't know who we actually were negotiating with anymore. And then when you realize that it's Scott Boras, you say, oh, that's why I want to pull my hair out, because of his agent. And not for nothing, if I'm a player, do you have to let your agent dictate the whole situation? Don't you have a little bit of a say? Like, hey, I want to get a deal done with X, Y, and Z. If they offer you this, take it. I feel like that gets just ignored by Boras. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes. I'm not a fly on the wall. But I will say one thing about Brian Cashman. I do think this was a masterclass by Brian Cashman. He sat there and he knew he wasn't going 7 years. He wasn't going $250 million. He wasn't going to go above $35 million AAV to even sniff to where Aaron Judge is. And it just wasn't going to happen. And I feel like these other quote-unquote offers that Bellinger said he had, I don't think he actually did have. I think when the Mets got Luis Robert, I felt like that was the writing on the wall. I didn't think they were going to go Bellinger. I know a lot of people said the Mets were still in on Bellinger. I didn't see that to be the case. I felt like that, that was going to shore up their outfield. And I said, you know what? Is he really going to go to the Blue Jays? Are the Blue Jays really going to spend money on Cody Bellinger? If they do, is that just sticking it to the Yankees? Do they have a real need for a guy like Cody Bellinger? That, their offense wasn't the problem, of why they lost the World Series last year. So I don't think adding Cody Bellinger would make any sense. But obviously they were in on Kyle Tucker, so that got me a little nervous. I said, wow, they may really get this guy. And there was a couple other teams as well. I think, Brew, we were talking about San Francisco might have been a possibility as well for him. I think they were a team that was trying to be a little sneaky. And the Dodgers were potentially in on him as well. But, then that went away after they signed Tucker. So it was really a toss-up. And it was like, what's going to happen? I kind of felt like the Yankees maybe were going to actually really walk away. And like I said, I'm glad they didn't go 7 years. I'm glad they didn't offer any type of option to get him to a 6th year. It's a 5-year deal. If he wants to opt out after years 2 and 3, good luck. If you think you're going to get more money, God bless you. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to finish out that contract as a Yankee. I don't see how it makes any sense for him to leave at this point. I think $32.5 million for a guy like Cody Bellinger, who has shown he could play 2 or 3 good years, then he has 1 or 2 bad years. Not so much bad years, but off years. I think it's a fair contract. I really do, and I think he plays well to that stadium. I think he plays well, hitting behind Judge. I think it makes a lot of sense for him and this team. And I'm just glad it's over. I'm glad it's over. And welcome back to the Bronx. That's all I could say.
Yeah, I'm not gonna elongate on a response. I mean, I think the Yankees did exactly what they needed to do. I mean, props to them, like on staying pat on their offer. I think that was obviously very good on Cashman. I mean, Bellinger, I felt like it was kind of bluff. I mean, I feel like it was very interesting that 2 hours or 3 hours before he signed, there was a report by Heyman saying the Mets and Yankees are both interested on him, as well as 2 other teams. And guess what? As soon as the Robert trade happened, bro, I had a feeling. I just had a feeling that Bellinger signing to the Yankees was inevitable. I really did. And guess what? It's a good pairing. I think having him back obviously brings a lot of versatility to that lineup. They stood pat, and I got to give them major props for that, to be honest. So good signing for the Yankees. Obviously, bringing Cody back to the Bronx. It had to happen, honestly. If not, that outfield was going to be a little bit of a concern.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. this needed to happen. Even his teammates, Cody's teammates, have spoken up for him. They've talked about what a great teammate he is, what an impact it would be to not have him in that clubhouse anymore. So that pays dividends to the way this went down, and to what Jay said and Ben, to kind of piggyback off of that as well. Listen, a lot of people will criticize Cashman here and there. I've done it. We've all done it. We always criticize the GMs of our teams. We always get frustrated with what they're doing. But you know what? When it comes down to getting something done and understanding the markets and how they work, I mean, Cashman knows it better than anybody. He's been in the game probably longer than most of these guys that are around. He understood Bellinger's market. He knew what it was going to be, and he didn't want to overpay. And I can't say I don't blame him for that, because in reality, he's got a ton of money still on the books and a ton of big contracts on his books. Does he really want to add another one? For no disrespect to Cody Bellinger, but does he really want to pay, like what the Dodgers just did with Kyle Tucker to retain Bellinger? He didn't want to go down that road. I think that's why he never really stepped foot in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. That's why the Yankees really weren't that big of a player in that aspect, because just they didn't want to go crazy. This was a reasonable contract, I think, on both ends. He does have the opt out, so we'll see how that plays out. I think it's year 2 and 3 he has the opt outs.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so minimum the Yankees have Cody Bellinger for the next 2 years, and then we'll see what happens there.
Right.
A little more money is going to come off the books at that time. Is that going to be something they're going to be revisit? I don't know. I think if he opts out again, then I think his time in the Bronx could be finished, but that remains to be seen. Overall, this move needed to happen. They needed him in their lineup, because at this point in time, at this point in free agency, if Bellinger would have went to the Blue Jays, that would have been detrimental to the Yankees. I think that would have been detrimental to everybody in the American League, not just the American League East, because then I think Toronto would have been almost head and shoulders above everybody in the American League. So if that would have happened, that could have been, like I said, it could have been a horrible thing for them. And at this point, like I said, in free agency, who would have been his replacement? What would you have done not only to replace his defense and versatility, but his offense and his bat in the lineup? The biggest criticism that I've seen about Bellinger so far has been his home road splits. They're a little more favorable him at home, him playing at Yankee Stadium. Listen, it is what it is. Guys have those seasons. Sometimes they hit better on the road one season, and sometimes they don't. It happens. It is what it is. But for the most part, what you're getting out of Cody Bellinger. You're getting a gamer. You're getting a guy that it could be 8-0, no matter which way of the game. He's going to play it hard. He's going to dive for every ball. He's going to try to make every play. You know what this kid is about. You know what this guy's about. We've seen it over and over again for every team that he's played for. And honestly, this made the most sense, I think, for both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had to get done. I mean, at this point, like Ben said, the left field situation would have been a little sticky, obviously, with Dominguez and how we saw him in left field, and it wasn't the best. So obviously bringing back Bellinger just solidifies the outfield a little bit more. And they basically have the same lineup that they did last year. So now they have everybody that they brought back, and they won 94 games. So obviously, I would have liked to see a right-handed bat, not to replace Cody, but to add to bringing back Cody. Hopefully the Yankees can maybe figure out a way to add a right-handed bat, whether it's an infielder or an outfielder. I don't think it matters to me, as long as they could somehow get a right-handed bat. I know they brought back Rosario, but again, it's the same depth pieces and lineup that they had last year. Obviously, they're getting Cole and Rodon back. Cole should be in June, and Rodon should be coming back in May. And hopefully Cam Schlittler and Max Fried could do what they have to do. And I would have liked to see another arm as well. I know the Yankees were in on Peralta. They had a couple of conversations with Milwaukee. I would have loved to see that happen. But hopefully maybe they could figure out a way to get another starter in there and bolster the rotation a little bit, or maybe add to the bullpen. I'd like to see them maybe pad the bullpen a little bit as well. So hopefully they're not done. I think the Yankees, to me, the last couple of years, that they are a more trade-happy team. I do think they'll work a trade somehow to address the rest of their needs.
Yeah. I could totally see them still being in on a guy like Mackenzie Gore, for example. I think that could make sense, bringing him into the rotation. I know they got Weathers right now, and I think he's going to fit that 4-5 slot. Meanwhile, Rodon and Cole both come back. Even so, like Will Warren, I guess you could still use him in the rotation. Yarborough, it just depends. I mean, the rotation to start off the year is a little bit questionable, other than Fried and Schlittler, if I could be quite honest.
Correct.
But, I mean, the lineup is still going to compete. It's going to be a lineup where the bottom half isn't the best. Like McMahon and Caballero did have a good year, but can he replicate that? Wells, I mean, he has like, what was it, the nerve damage or something like that on both hands?
He's got nerve damage in both hands, but I mean, it's crazy that he hit 218 and he had 21 home runs and 71 RBIs. If you could somehow hit 250, it wouldn't be horrible. But I'm not sure if he's ever going to be somebody that's going to float, his average that high. And to me, another 200 hitter at the bottom of the lineup is just tough to have. So hopefully Wells could turn that around. Obviously, Caballero led the league in stolen bases, so he's a threat when he gets on base. He was phenomenal in the field as well, playing multiple positions. I'd like to see him play, the majority of short. Obviously, they got Volpe coming back off of injury, but we'll see how that happens. And, obviously, Ryan McMahon is going to do what Ryan McMahon does. He's going to hit 220 and run into 20 home runs and 60 RBIs and play top-notch defense. So, like I said, this team won 94 games last year. I've just got to hope that the pitching stays healthy. Hopefully, we have some type of a decent Garrett Cole coming back. So, there's some question marks, but it's all good things. It's all good things happening. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, just before we move on, Joe alluded to this a few minutes ago, but it was funny because I felt the same thing when I saw this. So for those of you on Spotify and Apple, we have the Yankees projected lineup up, and it's the lineup that we know. It's the same lineup from last year, So it's just like projected. We know what this looks like. Whoever put this out, you didn't have to. We know what this lineup looks like. I mean, it's relatively, yes, it's the same thing. And I'm not trying to troll. I'm not trying to whatever, but it was funny to me. That was just my initial thought. I'm looking at it. It was like, yeah, I've seen this before. We're all good. Like, moving on. Like, this was a waste of time. But, here we are. Like I said, the Bellinger thing needed to happen. The Yankees could not let him walk away, especially this late in free agency, this late in the game. What would have been your move then? A lot of trade pieces are off the table. Most of the free agents are gone. It's all depth pieces now. And, listen, there are a couple of nice pieces, but they're more complementary, not replacing a Cody Bellinger type piece. So,
right.
I mean, they got to be happy. I know Yankee fans definitely have a relief now. This is finally over. Like you said, this was a little drawn out. I mean, but this happened the last time when he signed with Chicago a few years ago.
Yeah.
His free agency was well drawn out, and he was looking for that big lucrative deal that never came. And he signed what he signed. I think it was 3 years for 87 with the four-year option, something along those lines.
I think it was 3 for 83 or something. Yeah, something along those lines where he thought he was going to get 6 years. Again,
yeah,
he was going to get 6 for like 190 or something like that.
Yeah, and you know what? If he would have been playing like he has over the last 3 years, then he would have got that deal a few years ago.
He would have. Yes.
Absolutely. Hands down. But he was a little inconsistent leading up to that free agency period when he, like I said, when he essentially signed with Chicago. But overall, like I said, I think this is a good move for both sides. It needed to happen. Absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously the big name free agents still left on the market right now are guys like Framber Valdez, Eugenio Suarez, Zach Gallen, Chris Bassett. And I think that's pretty much it when it comes to like the big tier names. I think that's it.
Yeah, overall. If I can, guys, I'm going to give you my spiel again because we moved on to another team. Talking about the Yankees for our Yankee fans out there. Let us know your thoughts. Are you happy with this deal with Cody Bellinger? Do you think this dragged out too much? Do you feel maybe they could have gone in another direction? And honestly, let me know how devastated you would have been and how hard the crash out would have been if you would have found out that Cody Bellinger signed with like the Blue Jays. Because that, to me, like I said, I think that would have been detrimental to the American League, not just the East, not just the Yankees. Overall, because that would have been bad. Because Toronto has improved mightily since becoming. I keep saying it, literally. I keep reminding them that close to winning a World Series. They would have gotten a lot better if they would have went out and got a Cody Bellinger. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, I super excited just to get baseball underneath. I mean, obviously, when do pitchers and catchers report? I think it's
February 15th.
February 15th, the day after
30 days.
So guess what? We have baseball right around the corner. The content's going to be coming out hot right here on JBM Sports Media, breaking down the divisions. Yes, we'll be talking about teams like the Rockies and Angels as well. Don't worry. I know these guys are probably not that excited about that, but look, it happens. We have to do it. We have to cover all teams, even the jobbers.
Yeah, no, it's the jobbers need love too.
Yeah, that's true. Guys, if I can, for those of you guys still here listening and watching on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the good stuff. Similar to last year, now we have a third voice with us. We have Ben now. What we're gonna do, like I said, it's gonna be a little similar. We're probably gonna go into the breakdowns, our predictions of the year. We're gonna do the awards predictions, and we're gonna break down each division and who we think is gonna come out on top. And we're probably going to go over the top 10 of the shredder from from MLB Network when those start to come out and release, and give our thoughts and think how everybody's crazy that they don't think how we do. All that. I will say this. It's been a year, and I can't believe how fast it's gone. Me and Joe started Diamond Discussion. Not that we really didn't know what we were doing, but I'm gonna be honest, we had no idea what we were doing. It was ridiculous what went on. I think we tried to record our first episode. How many different times? How many different days? I think it took like 2 weeks.
It took yeah. So the first episode, I believe, was a couple of days ago last year, but it should have been the start of the year because it took
was
like
insane.
3 weeks, and you would have thought that we were maybe like from a different country, maybe a third world country. No disrespect, but when we opened the computer, it was for me especially. I didn't know what I was doing. Your brother-in-law. I got to shout out your brother-in-law. Like there was a couple of times where he's literally saved us. Where I was like, "Listen, I'm either throwing my computer out the window or it's you got to figure something out, pal." So there was shout out to him, bro. I gotta give Vinny a shout out. He definitely helped us. He definitely helped us a big ton in the early going. I mean, I'm talking about like I would get to Rose's house at 7:00 and I wouldn't leave till 3 a.m. My wife would have been like, "I thought you were doing an hour show." I'm like, "I promise, I thought so too." Like,
how many times? How many times did we record a full episode and then we went to edit this little thing and ruined it?
Ruined the whole episode.
Completely ruined the episode.
Like delete it, and I would look up and be like, so how do you feel about maybe redoing this?
I'm like, what? It's 4 a.m. What are you? What? What do you mean? And then me and this kid would just laugh in delusion.
How do you feel about making some more coffee?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, let's do it. And you know what? The funny thing is too. And listen, Ben, we're obviously we're getting you in on this because you were a huge part of where we are now too. I'm gonna be honest. Ben doesn't realize this, and me and Joe would talk about it on the sidelines, like before we got this in depth with everything, before JBM Sports Media was ever a thing. Ben was like the first person that would text us out of nowhere and just be like, "Yo, when's the next episode coming out? Like, I can't wait to hear the next episode."
It's true.
And that meant the world to us because we were just, you have no idea. Like, it's just, for those of you that don't know, that have never stepped into this world, it is, and I got this advice from a really dear friend. Listen, you could have all the knowledge in the world. You can know what you're talking about. You could know everything. You got all the answers to the test right in front of you. It's totally different when that red light is on. It's a whole nother ball game.
It really is,
and it's
true.
It's 100% true.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Ben because that's what kept us going. When I tell you guys that it's you guys that keep us motivated, it's things like that. We get texts from our friends, from some of our family, from people that I have people walking up to me now and they're just like, "Yo, I listened to that thing the other night. I listened to you talk about this and that. Dude, I was laughing. I had a great time. That was awesome." And like, just those little interactions, even if it's not a comment on the page or a direct message, whatever it is, those little things keep us going, because those nights where we recorded a crap episode and had to redo it, and I was too afraid to say, "I sound like shit," or "Joe, you're a little dry, you're half asleep," or "Mike, you're falling asleep at the mic," like things like that. Like, we were like, and it was just, do I really want to do this? And like, shout out to Joe. Thank you for sticking with this, because like we were at our wits' end at one point. We were like, "No, we're gonna give up. This is just not happening." I might have mentioned this on a show in the past, but it was literally that scene from Zoolander when Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson are slapping at the computer like a bunch of idiots. Like, that's literally what it looked like in real time. I swear.
I
It's
gotta shout you out.
insane.
I gotta shout you out too, though, because like, you were the one that had this whole early vision of the podcast. At least I know you had. I'm not sure if any of the viewers here know. Mike had his own show at one point. He was a part of a show on a radio show, and I would call in every Sunday.
Yeah,
I believe you were 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, I believe.
6 to 9. Yeah.
And I remember when Mike put it out on his Facebook, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. And I had messaged him and was like, I always wanted to do this, never wanted to do it alone, just never had anyone to do this. This is awesome that you're doing it. Never even tried to like bring myself in. I just thought it was awesome that he was doing it. I would literally call every Sunday and I would literally take up like 15 minutes on a segment just talking baseball. Like it was awesome. And then he just stopped doing it. And I was like, what the hell happened? And, the show folded and he messaged me again a couple of weeks later and was like, would you be interested in maybe like doing something with us? Like, I kind of want to do something with somebody. I don't want to do it myself. And, you're halfway knowledgeable and I need someone that's going to be consistent. And I was like, yes. When do we start? Like, I think within 3 days I bought a mic and I got some stuff to, I bought like a little backpack. I bought a notepad. I was like, I'm ready to go. Like, but and then obviously meeting Ben and then obviously with his following, which is unbelievable in its own right, and the way he's grown his page and obviously how he's affected, our business in such a positive way. I gotta say, I'm really blessed that I ran into the both of you guys. Obviously me and Mike know each other for a while. Me and Mike worked together at Madison Square Garden and Citi Field. For people that don't know that, we did security there for a long time. So that's how we forged our friendship early on. But running into Ben through TikTok lives and Google Meets and all these things, just chopping it up and talking sports, and the fact that this was something that came into fruition, starting a sports media company, I really couldn't have asked to start anything with anybody better than these two guys right here, honestly. So shout out to you two guys for even bringing me on, because I know you and Ben, were kind of forging a friendship before I kind of got in. So the fact that I was brought into your guys, world and whatever, and you guys showed me like how to use TikTok. I never used TikTok at all up until literally a year ago. It's been out 6-7 years. I was just not on the app, never had any interest, and it's been a game changer, honestly. And now, we're doing videos and content, and it's been awesome. It's been something that I wanted to keep doing, and I would love to do it full time. We've talked about this, on a serious note on the side, and what we would do to get this thing being something that's like real and some serious. And I couldn't have asked for two better guys to do it with, honestly.
Yeah, I think for when it comes to me, and obviously I know at the start of last year, specifically before spring training in February, when I first met Mike on a TikTok live where we were discussing baseball, I feel like, getting to know somebody that understands the game, there wasn't really a lot of that during that time period in that app at that time. There wasn't a lot of people that understood the game the way that Mike did. And then obviously when JB came along, I thought, all right, these two guys are the ones I click with like this. When they would tell us, oh, the new podcast is up, I'll be one of the first ones, 12 in the morning, 2 in the morning, to listen to that right away. Try to be the first listen, if not the second listen, but get to it no matter what. And growing my following, if you guys just want to know just my personal story and starting my TikTok, it was just one of those things where I dropped out of college. I didn't want to do it no more. It wasn't my passion. I wanted to pursue full-time content creation because I knew I had what it takes. I'm still a kid in this game. And knowing what I know now and everything, the nights where you have countless creative ideas. Will this work? Will this not? How will this go to the audience? Will they bite on this? Will they not? Obviously, it was a whole mind trip, if I could be quite honest. And not seeing your following grow as rapid as you think it would, that was obviously a little bit disheartening. But doing it for the love of the game, doing it because you genuinely love, and it's for me, it's something that I've loved doing since I was a kid. Hearing sports announcers, analysts, watching sports, all sports. I mean, it's been a complete part of my life, and doing it now in front of a setting, especially for you guys here on Diamond Discussions, and even for JBM, let alone, it's been a blessing. I mean, meeting these two guys has been an absolute blessing for me because I wouldn't have had two better associates, work partners, personally, two friends, two brothers I consider in this workspace that I could obviously rely on. I mean, just for example, me and JV and Mike as well. Mike's been very busy with work, but no matter what, he tries to make it, whether he has personal issues, he tries to make it in any video as much as possible. But me and JB, in a streak that we've been going on since December 26th, it's been insane. I mean, times where we're tired from work, we have bags on our eyes, but guess what? We're here, we're doing it. And that's just the motivation that we have. And for anybody out there that wants to do this sport content creation route, I think it's totally up for everybody. It's up for everybody as long as you do it for the love of the game, and that's something you genuinely want to do. I advise everybody to go this route. It's a beautiful thing, and you meet some great people along the way.
Yeah, I mean, the dedication. Yeah, the dedication to, like, listen, it's tough. It's you got to really want it, and like, you know, Brew. I know we had said right before the year had ended that we wanted to do this 365 for 365 challenge. It was one video a day for the whole year and try to pump it out. And me and Mike had said it. We had been talking on the phone. We were like, "What a great idea, right? Like that you had came up with. Like that's awesome. Like the fact that we could potentially do that." And it's funny because when Mike misses an episode, he gets pissed. Like we want to do this. Like it's not just like, oh, we're doing this because, you know, we have nothing to do and let's talk about a trade that happened or a signing. No, we're not just some casuals. We literally want to do this. Like, and it actually upsets him when, you know, life gets in the way. But that's just what, you know, it's natural for anything, for anybody. The life sometimes just gets in the way. But you could see that he's got the fire too, and that's why all three of us work together so well. And I think it's honestly a match made in heaven. Honestly, I like I said, I think all three of our work ethics rub off on each other. I think, you know, when we're talking throughout the day, I talk to you guys more than I talk to my wife sometimes. I swear to God. My wife will be like, "Are you busy today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been so busy." Meanwhile, I've got a whole text thread from you guys from 6 a.m. Till I leave work. So it's like, and we'll be just talking about anything. It doesn't matter. But and that's how cool it is. Like we don't have to just talk about sports. We're not just so work related. It's like Bruce said, it's become a brotherhood and a friend and you know, a legitimate friendship. And the only thing we have to do now is move Ben to the East Coast. And once we do that, it'll be a real family, and we could actually hold hands together. And that's just what. You know,
that's absolutely phenomenal.
You know,
if I can,
a guy could dream. A guy could dream.
I want to piggyback off that just a little bit. Joe is 100% right when it comes to how upset I do get when I can't make an episode. But I push these two to keep going, and I don't even think I need to, because in the absence that I've had over the last couple of weeks, like I said, work has gotten away and some other things. I mean, I was shocked, but not really. But it's like a hand-in-hand type of thing. I didn't expect that these guys are going on this run that they did. I mean, you know, we talked about it, and I'm saying no disrespect to what I'm about to say, but actions speak louder than words, and the actions are there. I'm just like, I'm sitting here, I'm working crazy hours, I'm doing a lot of things that I'm doing, and it's just video after video after video, content after content. I'm just blown away that, you know, you guys have been able to do that. I thank you guys for holding things down. Well, you know, I can't really be around with some of it. It's been rough. It's looks like maybe my hiatus might happen again. Work seems to be calling. We'll see how that plays out. But I couldn't be prouder to share the microphone with you guys, share a screen with you guys now. That we moved on from YouTube. I mean, in a short year, we've our YouTube channel, we've put a ton of videos out. Diamond Discussions from a year ago. We were approaching 50 episodes. We're on the way to do that. I mentioned this so many times because I'm so proud of it. Most podcasts don't get past the 7th episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
It's in a 90 percentile that don't get past the 7th episode.
Yeah, it was like the 80th percentile, something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, and for our listeners, for our old school Spotify and Apple listeners, you guys have heard me say that countless times, and it's because I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the fact that we're approaching 50, that we've gotten the views and the all the things that we've gotten from YouTube and Spotify. And it's not something, I'm not sitting here trying to flex. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it that we've started something from literally nothing, from being, like I said, Zoolander slapping at the computer, to now we kind of have a decent idea how this stuff works. And we've come a long way in such a short time. I can't believe that a year has actually came and went. I'll be honest with you. It really is. It's crazy to me. Like I said, I couldn't be happy to share this with you guys. You guys are spectacular. From just baseball knowledge and just you guys as people. with the way we joke around with each other, all that extra stuff, all behind the scenes, the stuff that you guys don't see, the bloopers, the outtakes, the how many times when we do an episode, and I'm sure it's different when it's just the two of you, where it's me and I'll be talking, blah blah blah, I'll be 45 seconds in, a minute in, and I'm just like, yo, and it's like I roll with it, yo, cut it, redo it, I don't like it, and they're like, what? I was like, I hated the way I started, I sound stupid. And they put up.
But that's a good thing. But that's a good thing because it shows that you want to get it right, and not for nothing. If any one of us did that, to me, it wouldn't matter. It would just show that we care about wanting it to be good. And how many times have we gone 10 minutes into a video and we're like, "Hey, listen, I gaffed. I said something wrong. Or I don't like the way that came out," and we redo it, and we don't care. You know why? Because we'd rather do it 100 times and get it right just one time. I'd rather shoot 100 times to get it right one time. And bro, we've said that a million times, going through the learning curve that we went through with the podcast. Bro, if we have to record 100 times to get it right just once, I'm going to record 100 times to get it right just once. I'm not going to leave your house. You're not going to leave my house. And then we figured out how to do StreamYard. That was another thing. We felt like we were Bill Gates and Steve Jobs when we figured out we could do this in separate areas like he didn't need to be with me. And I didn't need to be with him, so we felt like forget it. We felt like techies, whatever the term is, and
like tech gurus.
Yeah, tech gurus. And listen, like you said, if you have determination, that's going to be talent, and then with that comes talent. And I think it's just like I said, when you have three guys that have the same mind, I think it makes that much easier.
Yeah, and look, I'll say it like this as well. When I first met Mike, he was recovering from his shoulder surgery, so he was on those TikTok lives a lot, and he was one of my main supporters on those lives when I didn't get prominent numbers. But then when I first met Mike, I had somewhere between 3.8K to 4K followers along that. Blissfully, now I have 16,000, which, I mean, it's happened over like a span of time, and it's insane. But I've been so blessed, and I don't ever brag about it, boast about it. I take it with a shit ton of humility. I'm very humble about it because I know if I could attract that audience in general, like with what I do, doing it with these two guys, it's only going to bounce more and more up here on JBM, even on these guys' separate accounts. I remember when Mike and JB were both doing videos on their accounts on TikTok, Rostep and JBS, and they would be really good in-depth videos, whether it be just about the Mets, about when JB had proposed a conversion challenge to Mike. I thought it was some great content in general, great content being posted out. And I was like, if these guys do this and I collab with them and we do something big time, and trust, the year's just getting started. I know we have a lot more to go and a lot more to do, but what we've been doing so far to start off the year and genuinely for the love of the game, like we love doing this and we're not going to stop. As long as we have the support, we see the numbers and the views go up and up and up and up. And that only motivates us to the max. And like I said, I've been blessed to do this and having these two guys. I mean, you need partners to tango with, and the best right here.
Absolutely, I agree. I can't say any better than the way all three of us have said it. So it's been a great ride, and I can't wait to keep going.
Yeah, I think this next year could be bigger than what it was, in year one. I didn't think we'd be here now this fast, to be honest. But listen, it's funny what a difference a year makes. And we've even done some guest appearances. We've had some guests. We did a show with a good buddy of mine, Phil, which we got to get him back on here. I've been in talks with him a lot. Over the last couple of weeks, we always talking about what the Mets are doing, what's going on in baseball, things like that. He's got a couple episodes of his podcast, Uncle Phil's podcast. That is on Spotify, guys. Please go check that out. Phil is a riot. He's even better in person. The guy is fantastic. He's funny and just a real down to earth, makes you feel at home type of guy. So, like I said, Uncle Phil's podcast, that is on Spotify. Please go check that out. I'm behind on a few episodes. I got to catch up because Phil is also a huge supporter of us, and I try to share the same with him. But before we go, there's something that, and like I said, I wanted to get a little personal, if I could, for a second. Not personal, but just so you guys know this. I'm a huge food person. Love food, but I also have these weird rules that come
Oh no!
be, especially as a New Yorker. Like for example, If I see you eat pizza with a fork and knife, just know you're not. Like, go sit on the floor, go away. Like, that's not happening. Go sit.
No.
Let's go sit down on the ground and beg for change. With all due respect, not really. But here's the thing. So Joe will understand this. Ben, we finally get you over here. You're gonna learn. We're gonna learn here something. We got two big famous places in Brooklyn, and they relatively serve the same thing: Roland Roaster and Brennan and Carr. Me and Joe had lunch at Brennan and Carr not that long ago, a few months back.
Yeah.
Again, two idiots together in person eating together is just hilarious because we're just like I said, morons. Anyway, I had learned, Joe, you don't understand this. The corn fritters at both spots. Fantastic.
Yes.
No? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Somebody I know. I wish you could have seen my face. We're about to see yours. There's probably a similar reaction. Dunks their corn fritters in ketchup. And I went berserk. So now I've been asking people if this is normal or not because it quivered me a little. I'm like, what? What?
I've done.
What are you doing?
I've done that a bunch of times.
Stop! No! Oh my God, you're gross. I thought this was going to go a totally different way, and that just completely backfired on me.
Let me tell you why.
Interesting person.
First of all, I like to put a little hot sauce in my ketchup and dunk it in.
Okay, that's fair, but
with the sweet and the hot and the corn, it's very good. Now, just straight ketchup, I've never done that. If I'm feeling okay, so I'm not really a corn fritter guy. I'll go cheese fries. I'm gonna say that.
Okay.
All right.
Or
mutzi sticks. But if I'm in the mood for a corn fritter, I do ask for a side of hot sauce. It could be buffalo sauce. It could be regular hot sauce, whatever the case may be. I do like to throw that a little bit in my ketchup and dip it that way. I've never done straight ketchup. When it comes to that, for some reason I like the spice with it. But I will say this. I could see somebody using just straight ketchup. It's fried, so it's kind of acceptable. Now, what's not acceptable is if you would have said a mozzarella stick being dipped in ketchup, I would have arrested. That's blasphemous. I would have personally arrested the person myself. No, like I would have called the cops. We would have gone together.
Right,
like there he is. That's the guy. But the corn fritter and the ketchup, I'm
genuinely surprised. I was expecting the JV special that I'm calling the proper authorities. And
if you would have said a mozzarella stick, no, I got into a fight with a food content creator. I forgot to tell you this really quick, not to go off the deep end here. He dipped the mozzarella stick in ranch, and I said, "You're disrespectful. It's a little bit racist towards my culture."
Oh my gosh.
Jesus. And he was like, "What do you mean it's 2025?" I said, "This was in 2025 at the time." And I said, "I don't care. Racism is racism. So this is just, you can't dip a mozzarella stick in ranch. I don't care who you are. These young kids, I don't know what they're doing. It's bothering me, but that's where I stand on it." So.
All right. You know what? Fine. Now, I guess I will end the corn fritter fiasco of the ketchup because I was really expecting. This is how you know that there's certain things we just talk and we don't.
We never ran. And this was
real. This was honest and real, and I was expecting something different. I'm very disappointed.
When you got your corn fritters, I didn't get them. I had the mutzi sticks.
Yeah, I know. But the corn fritters to me at Roland Roaster and Brennan and Carr are absolute must. For those of you New Yorkers that have not tried either one of those places, I mean, what are you doing? Wait, Ben, we understand. He doesn't live here. But what the rest of you? What do you do?
Do you like onion rings? Do you guys like onion rings?
Yeah, of course.
Do you dip your onion rings in ketchup?
No. Here and there.
I do.
Here and there. That's a little bit.
I wouldn't be offended if somebody does, though. I wouldn't.
No. But when I heard a mozzarella stick being dipped in ranch, I got that twitch in my.
You belong in prison.
I was like twitching out. I was twitching out.
No, you belong in prison. You absolutely belong in prison for that.
Guys, and some positive news. A lot of people don't know this, but JV and me obviously have been on this streak. Mike's going to be away, but there's going to be a point in time in July where JV's actually expecting his third kid.
Yes.
And he's probably going to be on hiatus too. But guess what? I will be in the room actually because I asked JV already. And we're going to be doing a debut live Diamond discussions in the room. Hopefully everything's good with his wife being okay with it. I mean, JB could just screen through and just give the thumbs
She
up.
doesn't know it yet, but Ben's gonna be there.
First of all, I actually work at the hospital that she's going to be giving birth, so I could just give you a complete pass. He's with me. Don't worry about it. He's the godfather. He needs to be here. It's culture. You know, this is how we do it here. He needs to be in the room. My wife will probably throw a knife at me, but you know, things happen.
Things happen.
You know, I know he'll be in good hands because he'll be there, and I'll be bleeding out on the floor with a knife in my neck.
And the streak will still be alive, most importantly.
Yes, the streak will still be alive. And I just want to say this: just because my wife is having a baby, a third one, which I don't know who talked me into this idea, but it's gonna be. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna be recording. I don't care if I have my eyes bleeding with crust coming out of them. I don't care if if you can smell me through the screen. I'm gonna be there. JBM Sports Media all day.
Yes, sir. Hopefully you guys follow our parlay this weekend because the last
Oh
one
my God, that was brutal.
Let's not even get into that one.
Yeah, for our Spotify and Apple users, if you guys have not hit up our YouTube, we do cover more than just baseball. If you guys do, obviously watch other sports. Most of us do. We watch football, we watch basketball, we watch all that stuff. So if you guys do follow that and you want to, get a taste of what we think in those fields, then by all means, shoot over to JBM Sports Media on YouTube because Diamond Discussions is now sponsored technically by JBM. Guys, if I can just, to kind of beat the dead horse that is, I just want to say how much I appreciate you guys for doing this, how much we appreciate every listener, every viewer, every like, every comment, every share, everything that you guys have done to keep this going and keep us motivated. You guys are the reason why we do this. You guys are the reason that, again, keeps us afloat, makes those 3 a.m. nights worth it when we get that one text saying, hey, listen to the episode last night. It was amazing. Or listen to the episode. Just listen to the episode is all I need. All I need. Even if you hit me with a negative comment, which most people haven't. But listen, there are people out there. I mean, I've experienced them that, like to throw little shots that I have a podcast and X, Y, and Z, and they think they know more than me about sports. That's not the point. I have my opinion. Joe has his. Ben has his. It's not the point whether I think I know more than you or anything like that. That's not the point that we're doing this. We just love talking about sports. So we figured, you know what? Let's get a camera, let's get a microphone, and let's talk about it because that's what we do on a regular basis anyway. We do it for free at break at work, sitting there arguing with our friends on the phone. So you know what? We grabbed the mic and we had the stones to say, you know what? We're going to put our opinions out there and see what people think about it. So if anybody does have anything negative to say, to those of you that maybe want to try this realm and go into that, screw them. Screw them flat out. Let them say what they got to say because you know what? They don't have the stones to do what we're doing. So that's all I'm going to say. But guys,
you can't be successful without haters. So bring it on.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've gotten my fair share. Ben's gotten his fair share. Jay's gotten his fair share so far. So it is what it is. But guys, one more time, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for letting us do what we do. Thank you guys for getting our views up, our listens up, our comments up, everything that you do. We appreciate you. And guys,